Okay, my name's Stephen Argent, I'm 33 and I'm the founder of Orfund.
Steve, why did you decide to form a charity? Because there's obviously quite a lot of charities in the world already. Oxfam, World Vision, many others. Some of them doing maybe a similar job to what Orfund do. But why did you decide to start a new one?
I think I worked for a lot of the big ones for about 6 or 7 years, and I felt I was making a big difference when I was working for them, but the more you kind of get into it, the more you realise that there's a lot of wastage with where all the money goes. There's so much spent on advertising, fundraising, on the TV and the high streets. A lot of it's very ineffective, so I thought I'll try and set up a charity that can basically be run in a much more effective way, just with volunteers, and it also gave me a chance to focus on the areas I felt were the most in need. When I worked for Save the Children, I was sort of made aware of all the plight of street children around the world, so that was the thing that struck out and stood out to me the most, so I wanted to set up a charity that would help orphans and vulnerable children.
Excellent. And then this is the third project, am I right to say that Orfund has run?
It is.
Or Orfund is working on?
It's a third sort of major construction project that we've done. The first project we did was in Cambodia, building a school. Then we did a very small sort of temporary project in Tibet, helping orphans through the winter there. Sierra Leone's been our sort of biggest success and biggest challenge so far, and now we're sort of replicating that here in Kenya.
And how is this particular venture gone thus far? Would you say we've been here for about a month? How has it been so far?
Yeah, I mean, each project throws different problems. This one's been quite smooth running in terms of, you know, it's, we're sourcing materials not too far away. It's the first time we've ever arrived and had to do the foundations, which has swallowed up a lot of our time, so it's probably been a bit of a shame for the volunteers to not see more of a completed village before they leave. That's probably the biggest negative, but I think we've done really well in terms of the registration. We've registered over about 250 children, and done each project we do, we seem to sort of perfect that process a little bit more and make sure we're only getting the most genuine needy kids in. So I would say that's probably the most successful aspect of this one. 85 very desperate orphans.
What would you say as your main sort of problems out with you know, when you're back at home running Orfund? What is the biggest problems you come across?
It's very difficult. We're a small organisation. We've been going for 3 years. There's grants out there, but they often only like giving to those big charities that will spend it on a TV ad break rather than a project like this. So yeah, the frustrating thing is seeing how much money, you know, like what we parked up against a World Vision van the other day, and that was doing nothing, whereas it could fund 2 projects like this. It seems crazy that they can easily sort of write a proposal and get money from the lottery and all of that. So it's difficult, but yeah, probably it's also a good thing, because it means we grow in a more organic state. If we had millions and millions come in, maybe it'd be harder to manage and keep our projects intimate. So poorly, I think they say here.
And we're talking about the money. Whereabouts does when people donate money to Orfund, because that's a question in my own charity fundraising career.
Yeah.
How much of the money gets there? How much of the money gets there?
If someone gives a donation to Orfund, 100% arrives here to fund a project like this. It may be buying a brick. It could be paying one of the builders wages for the day. It could be feeding the child in the future, providing clothes. It could have helped with the HIV test we ran recently. But every penny that we get goes there. Any costs that Orfund has as a charity, we cover through gift aid, which is more than enough. So often more than 100% if you're a UK donor and taxpayer will arrive here.
Beautiful. And obviously, how hard do you find to? You've brought here 11 people, well, including yourself. most of whom had never met each other.
Yeah.
How does that bring you problems as well, or is that something you just let the rest of them worry about, or?
We've done a few projects now, and I've tried it with friends, I've tried it with complete strangers, and I think with strangers it's often better. I think it's great. You've always got 11 like-minded people, so I think it takes a certain type of person to want to come and, you know, spend a lot of money, give up their job for a while, and come and live and be sick for 5-6 weeks, and live it quite rough. And you know, we've been doing the hard man job on the foundations and things. So it takes a certain type of person, and it always gels together. There's always going to be problems, you know, there's always going to be the odd sort of falling out, but I think this one's been very smooth. No dramas at all. I think the group's come together really well.
Especially that day we both scored a hat-trick in the same game.
That was
teamwork.
The peak of harmony. Wasn't it?
And then what?
For me to score 3, Jamie.
And like what do you? I don't know if you have a view on it yourself, in terms of, you know, most people in Britain, when they get the sort of poverty in Africa, it comes via people like Bono or Bob Geldof, or through things like Live 8, where, you know, had a big focus on it maybe just 4 years ago in the summer, in the big G8 summit, which was in Scotland. People say we have to trade better with Africa, we have to drop the debt. I mean, what do you have a view on it? Why do we both come from a pretty privileged country, and we're far from rich people ourselves, but compared to the people we're in contact with, we're millionaires?
It's a difficult question, you know. I think if we wanted to solve it, there's enough money out there being pumped around in the aid world, the government handouts, you know, the drop the debt. If we did all of that and monitored it correctly, I'm sure we could definitely lift a lot of these struggling countries a lot closer to us, but nothing's ever regulated properly, you know. We may give $1 billion in overseas aid, but who comes and actually sees if the schools are being built, if they're being well run, if the kids are being taken off the streets? Nobody. I know stories where they just turn up at the airport, meet some government officials who take a photo of a school somewhere, could be anywhere, and then they go back on their flight home, you know, and say, oh yeah, that's all good. So I think there's solutions to it, but not until people start wanting to see difference. Like, I think there's a trend to just go, yeah, we give aid money, you know, but what's the point of giving aid money if you don't actually want to know what it's done and what it's changing?
And do you think Africa has to take a bit more responsibility for itself, or, you know, or a continent like Africa? I know you obviously work in Cambodia as well, so it's not exclusively, you know, obviously Africa's far from the only place in the world with problems, but does a country like Kenya have to take more responsibility for itself? You know, is it? In certain ways, I think. But then, like, I've been in Ghana, where you've got everyone's growing tomatoes around you, and the only thing you buy in the market is imported Italian tomato paste. So, I mean, as far as that's going, you know, these subsidies that, you know, US farmers get, until there's a level playing field, there's always going to be certain things. But yeah, as long as Africa's got the corruption in their leaders and things, then I mean, it's very difficult. We've heard that a new road's being built because the president's coming this way, but it's not built for the millions that live over here that would make their daily lives better. So yeah, until all that changes.